Hello everyone, it is Thursday and we're playing Clues by Sam again. We have another tricky one today, so a little stall on the ramping difficulty, but I'm sure we're gonna have fun all the same. If you don't know what Clues by Sam is, it is a daily puzzle where there are 20 people on a board and each of them has to either be a criminal or an innocent, and they might give you clues to help you figure out who is what. I usually play and explain my logic here. You can follow along with me if you click the link in the description, or if you have any questions, concerns, then I can hopefully answer them for you while I'm playing. So let's start today's and see where I get to. We start with Deborah telling us that exactly 2 of the 4 criminals neighboring Vicky are in column A. Okay, so Vicky is down here, and I double click Deborah's school so it highlights the person who is being mentioned. And in this case, it does a little pop of the name. Vicky has 2 neighbors in column A, Olga and Tina, and if 2 of those are criminals, that means that both of them have to be. And the clue also tells us that there's 4 criminals total neighboring Vicky. So Vicky has 5 neighbors, and 4 of those are going to be criminals. We have only 1 innocent neighboring her. Now, we leave Deborah's clue there to remind us of that, but Olga says that only 1 column has exactly 1 innocent. Interesting, because we still don't know about any columns with 1 innocent only, so leave that there. Tina says that exactly 2 of the 3 criminals in row 4 are Vicky's neighbors. Okay, so same thing as column A, but now 4 rows. If 2 of the 3 criminals in row 4, which has 4 people total, are neighboring Vicky, and Olga is one of those, that means that the single innocent neighbor that Vicky has is here in row 4, and it's either Pam or Kita. Now, what else do we learn from that clue? That Vicky's 4th and last criminal neighbor has to be Will, right? And that the last criminal for row 4 has to be Raul. And we don't need that clue anymore, or Deborah, so we click on those clues to dismiss them, and they go sort of dim, and they don't catch as much attention anymore, so we don't get distracted while looking for clues that we do need information from. Raul now says that Gary and Mark have 3 innocent neighbors in common. Okay, Gary and Mark are right here, C2 and C3, and they have 4 neighbors in common, Floyd, Hall, Laura, and Noah. 3 of those 4 are gonna be innocent. Only 1 criminal here, but we don't know who yet, so let's look at Will's school. Kita is one of Mark's 4 criminal neighbors, so we know that Mark has 4 criminal neighbors total of the 8 that he has, and that means 4 innocents as well, so Kita has to be a criminal. That makes Pam, who was her opposite, an innocent. We had tagged them both with the yellow tag to indicate that. Now, Mark shares 3 innocent neighbors with Gary, right? So let's say that those innocent neighbors are Floyd, Laura, and Noah. That would make Hall a criminal. But since we are sure that Mark has 4 innocent neighbors total, and 3 of them are shared with Gary, and 1 is Pam, that's his 4 innocent neighbors. Solved. And that makes Gary, who is also Mark's neighbor, a criminal. So we get that from that clue as well. And we don't need any more tags for that because we still don't know who the innocents are. But we don't need Will's clue, I guess. Pam says that all innocents in column B are connected. And she is an innocent. So, going back to Mark again, we know that Mark has only 1 more criminal neighbor that we could find. If that criminal neighbor were Laura, that would force Floyd to be an innocent here because that's Mark's last criminal neighbor. But then we have 2 innocents in column B who are not connected because Laura is separating them. So we know that Laura couldn't be a criminal ever. She has to be an innocent. But we still don't know if Floyd is an innocent or not because if Bonnie is a criminal, it doesn't matter what Floyd is. Now, Laura says there's only 1 innocent to the left of Carol. Where's Carol? Carol has two people to her left. Either Aaron or Bonnie are gonna be an innocent. The other one's gonna be a criminal, so we tag them both with yellow to indicate they are opposites. And if Bonnie is an innocent, that's gonna force Floyd to be one, but we still don't know. But Gary says that column D is the only column with exactly two criminals. So since that's interesting because we still need one column with one innocent only. But since Mark has only one more criminal to find, I'm trying to think because let's say that Floyd is Mark's last criminal. That would force Zara to be a criminal, so that column D has two, right? Which Gary is saying it has. And Floyd being a criminal forces Bonnie to be one because we need our innocents in column B to be connected. But that makes it so that Vicky has to be a criminal as well, so that column B doesn't end up with two criminals only, which is column this. Column D's. Column this position. But then again, we have to look for a column that has one instant only, so how does that go? Oh, Kita gives us a clue as well. There's an odd number of instants neighboring Carol. Interesting. So we know that this scenario couldn't be because 3 criminals neighboring Carol gives her 2 innocents. And that's an even number. So we couldn't have Floyd be Carol's or be Mark's last criminal neighbor because it forces all of this to happen. And that gives Carol an even number of innocents. So Floyd has to be an innocent in this case, which makes Hall and Noah opposites. And if Hall and Noah are opposites, means that one of them is a criminal because Mark still needs a criminal. Then we know that the second and last criminal for column D is going to be here neighboring Mark. So Sarah, we are now sure, is an innocent. And she says that row 5 is the only row with 2 innocents. So far, it only has her as an innocent, so we need the second one. And there's only Vicky left, so Vicky has to be an innocent here. Okay. Now we're not in danger of column B having 2 criminals, but we still need either column A or column C to be the single column with 1 innocent only. But we are gonna look at row 5 having 2 innocents and being the only row in that situation, because row 1 right now has 2 innocents. It has Deborah and either Aaron or Bonnie, so that's 2. We need a third one, and that has to be Carol. Now Carol is telling us straight up that Jerry is innocent, and so far that doesn't solve our dilemma with column A and column C possibly being the one column with only 1 innocent. But we gotta look at Carol's number of innocent neighbors, right? She needs one more, so that makes Bonnie and Hall opposites. And if Bonnie and Hall are opposites, what happens? What happens if Hall is an innocent? Then we have Aaron being an innocent. And Eric and Mark both would have to be innocents because we couldn't have a second row with 2 innocents only. So if that happened, we have no columns with 1 innocent only. So Hall couldn't be an innocent. That's what we learn here. Right? Because Hall being an innocent forces Aaron to be an innocent because of Bonnie. And that eliminates column A from being the one with one instant only. But it also forces Eric to be an instant so that row 2 doesn't end up with two instants, and it forces Mark to be an instant so row 3 doesn't end up with two instants. And now no columns have only one instant. So Hall has to be a criminal, which makes Bonnie an instant, which makes Aaron a criminal. And Hall was opposites with Noah, so Noah is an instant here. So now it doesn't really matter what Mark is. But either Mark or Eric have to be a criminal and the other one an instant, so that only one column is left with one instant only. How do we solve that? We don't need Gary's clue anymore or Laura's. All instants in column B are connected. Odd number of instants. Ah, okay, Eric couldn't be an instant because then column or row 2 would end up with two instants. So we need Eric to be a criminal actually, which makes Mark an instant so that column A is the only row with one instant only. Okay, very good. Very nice. Oh, took me a while there. And there's a low percentage of perfect solve, which is interesting. But yeah, it was really, I guess tricky is the right word to say that you end up having to look at a lot of clues that you used before and are not necessarily in play right now. So it is tricky, and that's the nature of this type of puzzle. I really enjoy doing this. Let me know how you went on this one, and I'll leave you guys here for today. See you tomorrow for more Clues by Sam. Bye bye.